Hello, sacred souls. It's Susanna from Alamanic Shaman. What I have here for us tonight is healing the mother-daughter relationship, the toxic, narcissistic mother-daughter relationship that has prevented us from fully living in our light and enjoying the happy moments, having fun, and all that kind of stuff. So after last night's ceremony, a lot of dark stuff started coming up for me. And sorry to any of the gentlemen or those who identify as male. This is kind of more a mother-daughter dynamic. However, some of it may also apply to you. Let's say if you had a strained relationship with your narcissistic father, it may have been quite similar. Or if any of the viewers had a parental figure where there was jealousy and envy that destroyed your fun and happiness, then that would also apply. Okay, so I don't necessarily want to limit it to that, but I know that a lot of times there's a very sort of strained relationship between mothers and daughters when it's unhealthy. So yeah, I wanted to kind of focus more on that, okay? But anything you can get out of this, like, it shall still apply to anyone where it's the jealousy and envy of a narcissistic parent that can't stand seeing us happy, and especially after we walked away from them. That's just going to intensify things like at least tenfold, if not more. So I took a whole bunch of notes, and I'm just gonna like read a little bit. I have the papers off to the side, but they're really scribbled, and I just want to kind of do it this way. So oh yeah, actually I'm gonna start with the documentary that I saw years ago. Okay, so it was probably almost 2 decades ago. It might have been more, it might have been less, but somewhere along those timelines, maybe between 15 and 25 years ago, roughly, I saw a documentary that really, really shocked me, where an extremely abusive, jealous mother shot her own daughter at some point when the abuse got really bad, because she saw her daughter as competition. But then her motherly instinct kicked in to some extent, and she operated on her own daughter in the bathtub when she had her daughter chained to the bathtub. And I guess I will have to put a trigger alert warning on this one, sorry. I just realized as I got into it that this could really trigger some people. Like, for me personally, it was just shock value when I saw it. But yeah, so she was thoughtful enough, let's put it that way, to get her daughter drunk first. And then, you know, the daughter did recover in the bathtub while chained to it or handcuffed to it, after the mother had operated on her to pull that bullet out again. I remember at the time thinking, oh my gosh, that is so absolutely horrible. I am so lucky that I didn't have a mother like this. And now, so many years later, I realized that just because the abuse I went through was not physically visible like this, doesn't mean it wasn't severe. It was severe on an emotional level, right? So we could all have gone through different experiences, and some of it may have been visible, some of it not. Sometimes the biggest traumas are not visible because they're more mental and emotional, right? But now looking back, comparing it to that video, there were enough similarities in the way of thinking of and feeling of those mothers in my current thinking and my current coming from my current perspective. My mother was jealous of me. Yes, she wouldn't have like shot me, but so not quite to that extreme. But when I now think back, and all of those moments came up last night after I did the ceremony here, she always found a way to destroy my fun or stop me from having fun or kept me from socializing. I remember one specific afternoon, I think it was afternoon, maybe evening, but I think afternoon, when I wanted to meet up with my friend, and my mother guilt tripped me out of seeing my friend. She's like, oh, and what am I gonna do? And you're gonna leave me alone here? And oh, like along those lines. I don't remember the exact wording, but basically guilt tripping me into leaving her alone. And what is she gonna do with herself while I meet my friend? That is not the daughter's problem, first of all, right? But in an enmeshed, abusive relationship with a narcissistic mother, that is completely different, because those daughters are held responsible for the mother's happiness, right? Anyhow, so she guilt tripped me out of meeting my friend. So I canceled my friend, but then we didn't even spend any time together. So my mother did her own thing in the house and I did something else. But she got what she wanted. She destroyed my fun, right? So those kind of things. And basically, all my friends throughout middle school and high school, most of the times I remember spending with them is really just at school, or was at school. Yes, sometimes I saw them, but not very often. Like if I compared my socializing, like the amount of times I went out and so on, to many other friends, classmates, people I knew who were my peers, I hardly ever went out, right? So like there was a very toxic, unhealthy connection, right? It was that I wasn't really allowed to have fun on my own without her, in a sense. So that was one. Then I also, years ago, gave someone private lessons in German, who was quite a bit older than me. At the time, I was in my early 20s, early mid-20s. Yeah, I think still early. I don't know, something around there. Like between 22 and 25-ish, roughly. And that woman was in her mid-late 30s at the time, roughly, right? And she told me, and that was very eye-opening for me. Like I learned a lot from her actually in that regard. She told me how her mother was always caring when she didn't feel well, when she was in a bad place emotionally or whatever, when she was unhappy, miserable. That's when her mother became caring and loving. However, whenever she felt great, her mother became abusive. So she learned very quickly to play sick or play unhappy and so on, so that she would receive better treatment from the mother, right? And that is kind of that dynamic that maybe even subconsciously or unconsciously, like not on a conscious level, most of us, I would say, if not all, slipped into, to some extent. I didn't consciously pretend to, not feel well or to be depressed or whatever, but on a subconscious level, I made myself small, and I learned from a young age on that whenever I was really happy and I had fun, she found a way to destroy it or dampen it or take away from it in a way that didn't make her directly look like the evil one. But she was a very skilled covert narcissist, right? So that is the kind of dynamic that we as children then internalize. And later on in life, we never live up to our full potential because our entire lives, we have made ourselves small. We have dimmed our light. We have down-talked ourselves, which then basically created the world that we lived in and that we experienced, right? So these were negative affirmations. And for example, when I look back now, like 20, 30 years ago, I was such a happy-go-lucky, outgoing, lighthearted, young adult. And now, like, I have gone through a lot of hardship, a lot of setbacks, and so on, right? And it was more just recently that I realized to what extent our way of thinking can really, really, really deeply affect us, right? So, but that was our way of showing or of like receiving the love that we needed, right? And like in my case, I was diagnosed with asthma when I was 14, and then it took until I was 17, 18-ish. By then, I was pretty much cured. Later on, it came back again when I was going through a horrible breakup, well, a divorce. But I was lucky that I had a doctor who told me that with a lifestyle change, cutting out stress, changing the diet, and all those kind of things, I could heal, right? Or I could get a lot better. And I got so much better that I was completely symptom-free. Like, I would say asthma-free, but I've had doctors since argue with me over this, but I was completely asthma-free, like symptom-free for years after that. But I knew how I had to live, right? And the circumstances when I was working and in relationships and so on weren't conducive to maintaining my health because I hadn't learned to set good, strong, clear boundaries and look after myself enough because of the way that I always had to put my mother's needs first, right? So I know that probably quite a few of you can relate a lot to my story, and I'm sharing it with you because even though we all have a different story, but there's enough similarity when it comes to those toxic mother-daughter relationships that we can then go into a healing session that will apply to all of us. And we will reclaim our light and our happiness and open ourselves up to fun again, right? I did learn a very good, strong work ethic, I have to say, because I remember her always telling me that I had to finish my homework first before I could go out and have fun with my friends. And that was like in elementary school, right? Like before the jealousy kicked in more, right? Usually with narcissistic mothers, that starts when the daughters start developing as teenagers and they start to become more beautiful and turn more into a woman, right? And that's when all that stuff really starts. And let me just see if I'm missing anything else here. Yes, I will share a little bit more. So then about 20 years ago, I actually walked away from my mother, and it culminated in a situation where she was trying to make me believe that my father was trying to kill her while he was happily on vacation with my stepmom. So that was her desperate attempt to win me back and manipulate me once again away from my dad. Because as an adult, I started getting closer to him. Like my entire life, she had always manipulated me against him. And as a teenager, I grew up hating him, right? And then later on, learned to let go of a lot of that and see what was really going on in that toxic home dynamic. But after that, I know that she sent me a lot of evil energies and wished my life to be destroyed, basically, right? So, like, in all aspects. And that is the kind of stuff when we actually dare to walk away from a narcissist, no matter what the situation is or the relationship you have with them, right? It doesn't have to be a mother, but that's when they're really out to get you, and they will send a lot of dark, evil energies and intentions our way, right? So I wasn't fully aware of the extent of all of that, right? But yeah, looking back now, I can see like that's what we would have traditionally considered black magic or dark magic. But it's just the intentions that someone sends you, right? So anyway, so when we generalize all of that, it's basically extremely jealous, envious, narcissistic mothers who start seeing their daughters as competition the moment they develop into a woman and start looking pretty, beautiful, whatever you want to call it, right? Where their beauty starts to shine through. That's when the abuse really gets worse. And it could be something as simple as little snide remarks and criticisms to diminish the self-confidence of the daughter, right? To make them feel small, to make them feel ugly, and anything like that, right? So I think that's about it. But again, if anyone else is watching where this mother-daughter dynamic doesn't directly apply, every viewer should still receive a healing for a toxic connection with a narcissist who is jealous and envious of them. Okay, let's expand it a little bit to that. All right, so let's smudge and get started. So I kept the Be Happy from yesterday and the little heart doll and the hero doll, like just going for it and being almost a bit like a carefree, daring, or courageous daredevil in a sense, right? Just going for adventures and stuff like that. And over here, more sort of being in the heart energy, fun, lighthearted, love, all of that. And these two were from when I disconnected us from those narcissists before, and that was more general, but a close family member. And we are in the healing cocoon. So I actually left that, but I made the narcissist face down and we're on top of them, because everything that we're learning from these relationships, especially in our healing process, is a very important stepping stone for us in the ascension process, right? So the more detached we can be and see the learning lesson in all of this, the easier it's going to be for us to continue on our healing journey and in the ascension process. I have a feeling this is going to take a few ceremonies because I personally am not fully 100% at the point right now, probably in a few days, to completely send them love and light fully and completely from my heart. But this may change once I start the ceremony. Sometimes it is a little hard to predict what kind of energies come through. But the way I stand right now before starting the ceremony, but also just because this is a really sort of big, heavy topic. This is heavy duty programming. Oh, yes, and I forgot too. Basically, throughout my entire teenage years, my mother always basically brainwashed me, like always told me men are only, all they ever want is sex and they want to use us for it and they're going to cheat. So that was the main message that she kept repeating and basically drilling into my head, right? And once I met my first big love, I was very happy with him, and I always refused to believe what she had told me. So on a conscious level, I didn't believe it, but on a subconscious level, those dynamics started playing out. So there's a lot that probably needs to be removed. Well, that doesn't need to be removed, not just probably. That needs to be removed, but probably in several ceremonies. That was my point. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. And let's smudge now and call in our spirit guides. Please cleanse, clear, and renew all of our energies and transmute anything that isn't of the pure divine love light energies. Help us fully and completely reconnect with our own inner divinity, with our higher self, and with everything that is divine all around us, and through that be in oneness. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations. Dear Creator, higher power, source and soul energy, our higher selves, our higher spirit guides of the light, our ancestors that are in the light, dear Mother Earth, powers of all four directions, powers of the east, powers of the south, powers of the west, powers of the north, powers of all four elements, air, earth, fire, and water, and all other benevolent powers, forces, spirits, and beings of the universe, please join the ceremony and assist the healings, prayers, and protection with all of your powers. Thank you. Please close the circle of protection around us. Thank you. I want to thank our entire spirit team on behalf of all of us so much for all the support you're giving us. I was guided to a video today. I forgot now what it was exactly, but the woman talked about the strong support of the ancestors, right, and the importance, because a lot of it was passed down from our ancestors, and they really want to see us heal from the stuff that they couldn't really heal from. Actually, it wasn't quite worded like that, but that's now the message I bring to you, right? So all those toxic patterns that have limited all of our ancestors, they're now here to help us break those toxic patterns and heal and release that which they couldn't fully free themselves from. Oh, and the message is too that they all loved their children to the best of their limited abilities, but they had a lot of limitations because of their own damage. And I feel a lot of pain coming through from that. So there's a lot of pain that was passed down from one generation to the next, further aggravated by the role of women being inferior, being forced into an inferior role in male dominant societies and systems, even if possibly in some of the families it wasn't quite lived like that and women were respected in a different way, but having to live with the limitations of being limited to a home life when, sorry, I keep hitting like the tripod on the camera, when some of the women didn't actually feel like that. Some women had other dreams and aspirations that were crushed. And sorry, I gotta drink something. My throat is really dry. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot still irritating our throat chakra. Of suppressing our own voice. Oh, I feel it very strongly. It's like almost like a scratching, but not quite, but sort of a strong irritation of like dryness, like not using the voice, having to stay quiet. You know how in some places it was said that women were supposed to be seen, not heard. So that is a lot of trauma and damage that was passed down, aside from other issues like marital issues and whatever, right? By not being able to really be in their power. That caused a lot of pain. And that's one of the main reasons why so much damage was passed down. Thank you. Wow, I did not expect that. Wow. That makes sense. Oh. Oh. Whoa, that was intense. Oh. So, and I see like all the women of our ancestors, like all the mothers and grandmothers and so on, the great-grandmothers, all the women are just like lined up. They're in a line. I can see them kind of all the way, and it's like it kind of goes up but sort of back, almost like in a three-dimensional painting. It would just kind of go like right, like back. They're all lined up to help us now. What they couldn't do, they want to help us do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of pain is coming out. A lot of held back. I don't quite want to say repressed, but like held back pain. I guess it would be repressed, but it's more just like held back through self-control and keeping it together for the family, to hold the families together. Because family life was the one thing where women could flourish. I mean, there were some women that could work in different jobs, but there were a lot of limitations, right? Please help us in our healing cocoon heal from the jealous, envious, narcissistic abuse of our mothers or mother figures, or if in the case of some of the viewers it may refer to a different person, maybe a male person who had a strong influence in their lives where there was also a lot of jealousy and envy that controlled that narcissistic connection, and they had the same dynamic that I described where all or most of the fun was destroyed or dampened or limited, and they were kept down and learned to stay small, dim their light, not really have a voice or speak their voice, speak their truth. They learned that their voice, their truth doesn't count. It was dismissive, right? So that shall heal for all of us. That shall be healed. Help us fully and completely heal from all the hurt, pain, suffering, trauma, from the psychic imprints, from any of the generational and intergenerational abuse that was passed down through the generations, coming down from both of our lineages, because even the men had, they were still a part of that pattern as well, by seeing how their mothers treated their sisters, and also how the father interacted with the mother. And yeah, all those patterns were reinforced. So it was still passed down from the father's side as well. And they chose the same kind of partner that would then treat their daughters that way, and so on, right? So help us fully and completely heal from this, and help guide us to all the right resources and healers and places, and maybe even foods and music and whatever can help us heal from this abuse, and to help us find all the fun, joy activities that can help us in this healing process, to find the right circle of friends, maybe some supportive family members, to find our soul family, our soul tribe, where we can lift each other up rather than, being pushed down or pushing others down. We lift each other up. So fun calls in for this rattle again. I always associate this with fun. Let all damage, all hurt, pain, suffering, and trauma be reversed in our body, mind, spirit, soul, energy fields, karmically, and in any and all aspects throughout all of time and space, throughout all lifetimes, timelines, parallel and alternate realms, realities, multi and universes, and any and all other aspects that affect us in this lifetime and moving forward. And so it is. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations. Ooh. Feels like wrapping. We're being wrapped in a blanket that's around us like a roll, just like here actually. We're wrapped in this blanket of protection and healing. That's all around us, a blanket of divine light, of divine love, of that Jesus energy, Christ consciousness, vibration and energy. Whatever terms you feel comfortable with, whatever resonates. That is wrapped all around us like a blanket, as a protective, healing cocoon. And we're all healing from this. And of course, this has to do with the heart again. So I'm gonna just bring in the tuning fork for the heart frequency. Oops. Ooh. I've noticed it only ever turns out weird and funny like this when the sound doesn't want to come on days when there's like really heavy duty healing that's not quite there yet. So like we're definitely going to need more, but let me just hit it hopefully a few times in the right spot. And we're going to do some more healing with that, or for that. Now it's getting better. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put this here. All right. Take a few deep breaths in and out to renew the energies, to bring in that light, and to breathe out any dark remnants. Just at your own pace, however feels comfortable. Whew. Okay, I feel that's good. Okay, if anyone wants to stay in these energies a bit longer, please pause the video. For the rest of us, let the ceremony now be finished. And we're giving so much thanks, gratitude, love, blessings, and just our full hearts to our entire spirit team. Thank you, our divine team, all the light beings, the divine. Thank you so, so much. We truly appreciate you helping us every step of the way so, so strongly. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Let the ceremony now be finished. Please open the circle of protection around us, but keep us strongly safe, shielded, and protected. And so it is. Thank you. Dankeschön. All my relations, all our relations. Okay, everyone, and I wish you lots of love, light, blessings, and protection as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And thank you for sharing these ceremonies with me, which are still a part of my own healing journey. So thank you for being a part of that and for being on your own healing and ascension journey. So I'm sending you so much love and light, and be well until next time, and I wish you great abundance. Bye.